Samsung have jumped out ahead of Apple with the launch of the Galaxy Z Fold 8. I can see why Apple wanted to make this thing. Let's go. I've spent some time with the Galaxy Z Fold 8, the new foldable from Samsung, and I can say happily that I was wrong about this. Before I picked this up for the first time, I told myself that I wasn't going to enjoy it. I really liked Samsung's form factor of their foldables, that taller, narrower cover display that opened up into that more squarish, expansive inner display. And I still do like it. But I can happily admit that picking up this for the first time completely removed any doubts that I had about it. We're very lucky that Samsung can build more than one foldable, that they are in a position where they can R&D this one, but also R&D this one, and build both of them to very high levels. From the moment you pick up and use the Galaxy Z Fold 8, you are enslaved to its design. The 5.5-inch compact cover screen on the front here, that is a throwback to the 16:10 aspect ratios of smartphones from the days gone by, is so comfortable to hold and so compact to pick up, and the fact that it only weighs 201 grams leans heavily into that. You can barely believe that this will unfold into a 7.6-inch mini tablet. It's so easy to use the cover display as well. It isn't so wide that you can't use it one-handed, and I think the fact it's so thin when closed leans into that. And the fact that it's also short means you can reach around to the top of the display quite easily as well. And as much as you look at that cover screen and you're a bit perplexed by it because you're just not used to it anymore, the second you open it up, it all makes sense. The 7.6-inch 4:3 aspect ratio inner display is a sensation. Not just for the fact that it looks great in landscape view, whether it's content or whether you're just browsing apps, but for the fact when it's in portrait orientation, it just looks and feels and operates like a mini tablet. It offers you great experience when it comes to scrolling news content, or whether you're scrolling YouTube Shorts or just social media in general. It's a really good display in that orientation for all of those things. You also can watch full-length YouTube, with the top being content and the bottom half scrolling for comments or other videos. It's great for that too. There's some great physical advantages to the 7.6-inch inner display too that Samsung has really created for people who enjoy foldables. It's virtually creaseless thanks to Samsung putting in a titanium alloy film that lies underneath the structure of the display. And there's some other structures that Samsung have reorganized and redesigned to make sure not only is it more durable, but that crease becomes less pronounced over time. You've also got a peak brightness of 3000 nits on that inner display as well. And it also goes above 400 ppi for the first time on a foldable with the Fold 8 Ultra as well, meaning that all your content is going to be higher resolution to go with it. And just to top it all off, the anti-reflective properties that we've seen on the S26 Ultra are also here on the inner display on the Z Fold 8, which is awesome. There is something that I couldn't quite wrap my head around and I was a little bit disappointed by, and that's the fact that flex mode isn't supported on here. And it's not just that it's not supported with the design, it's also not backed up by software. Because the hinge at a certain point doesn't actually hold itself open, it just flops back to being open. Wow. Doesn't hold itself open, doesn't make any sense. Because at a certain point, the hinge doesn't sort of want to hold itself there, it just flops open. The software isn't there to support it. And there's not even a flex mode panel in advanced features. There's just nothing. I can imagine that Samsung maybe toyed with the idea of putting it in because it can sit there at 90 degrees for a little bit, but not for long. It's one of the pitfalls of this form factor. It's only one of a few because I'm enjoying the rest of it. There is something I don't think I've done a good enough job of conveying during this video. I was just editing, I'm like, I haven't talked about this properly enough. And that's the inner display's ability to suit multitasking and just a whole bunch of different range of content. Because of the fact it's 16:10 on the cover screen, you get two side-by-side apps at 16:10 as far as the aspect ratio goes. And that then makes up a 4:3 aspect ratio in this wide format. And then obviously you get that 3:4 in the tall format. I just don't think I talked about it properly enough. Because of the fact you can have that split screen apps there side by side, and it really does split itself into like two wide apps that are quite functional and usable. You can see a lot of content on them. Or for the fact that when you rotate it into portrait, you've got 16:10 on top of each other. So you can have content at the top, content at the bottom, and it does stretch itself out with minimal black bars, especially if it's videos. So I'm just a really big fan of what Samsung have done with the entire form factor. And yeah, that's all. I just wanted to add that in. The camera hardware is something that I think Samsung maybe could have been a little bit more adventurous. The 50 megapixel ultra wide camera is nice. It's the same one as the S26 Ultra, but the main camera is the same one as the S26 and S26 Plus, the same 50 megapixel camera. So Samsung could have pushed the limits a little bit more there, maybe even added a third one, or at least the 200 megapixel main camera, but it didn't do that. The cameras, though, are the secondary story here. It's not about what these can do, at least from a hardware perspective. It's all about the form factor of the device, because you still get some of the advantages that a foldable has, like rear cam selfie, for example, and it takes advantage of the inner display with some new software with dual recording, allowing for split view, allowing for horizontal split view when it comes to recording two 16:9 or 9:16 aspect ratios at the exact same time. But if this is truly a pocketable, foldable tablet, then when you think about it, tablets aren't realistically known for their camera prowess. So this kind of just gives you flagship capable cameras alongside a form factor that is built for productivity and entertainment. And the entertainment and productivity is backed by performance. The Snapdragon 8 Gen Elite 5 for Galaxy is on board here, alongside a 4,800 milliamp hour capacity cell, or split cells, I guess you can imagine, that charges at 45 watt super fast charging. For the first time as well, on a Samsung flagship phone, you have silicon carbon. Now, Samsung have been very cautious in their approach. They told us they weren't pushing the limits with how much silicon they've used. They've kept it relatively tame so they can at least know that the longevity of the battery is still going to be there. But it's a starting point, and one that I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I do wish that the inner display supported the S Pen. I think it's a bit of a missed opportunity. But again, it's just, we can't have everything, and that's one we don't have. It does feel weird, considering this is the Fold 7 and this is the Fold 8. They're very odd in their interpretations of a foldable. This is technically not the successor to the Fold 7. Get it right, Daniel. This is just a new category of its own. But I understand if this is the path forward, that Samsung wants this to be the Ultra flagship foldable and this to be the base, then I can understand why this has come in at the Fold 8 and that this gets positioned as the Ultra. Because in comparison to the Fold 8 Ultra, well, it is the Ultra. And now I'll get to using this. And then alongside that, I'll get to waiting to see how Apple shapes up, because rumors have it that Apple's foldable is pretty much going to be an exact replica of this, maybe with the orientation of the cameras the other way, and we'll see how it goes. But as of now, this is what we have. So I'll update you guys on how it goes along the way. And then, of course, if Apple does it, I'll have to decide whether I invest in it or not. We'll see how it goes. Anyways, make sure you hit subscribe to Tech with Benefits. I've got a comparison to the Fold 7 coming up on Sunday night, so make sure you hit subscribe to check that out. I'm going to be putting these two things to its paces to see if this is actually a worthy successor to the Fold 7 or whether the Fold 8 Ultra is a successor. We'll find out. Anyways, come find me on my socials, and I'll see you guys in the next one. You!